young billionaire grabbed a plate of food and threw it directly into the maid's face. The mansion erupted with laughter. More than 50 wealthy guests watched as Olivia Carter stood frozen in humiliation. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Nobody defended her. Nobody cared. To them, she was just a maid, a nobody, a girl they could mock without consequences. But what none of them knew was that within days, a shocking would be revealed. And the same maid they humiliated in front of everyone would be declared the sole heir to a billion-dollar empire. An announcement so devastating, it would destroy an entire billionaire dynasty. This is the unbelievable story of Olivia Carter, a maid, an orphan. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. A young woman who spent most of her life believing she had nobody, no family, no inheritance, no future. But she was wrong, and by the time the truth emerged, an entire billionaire dynasty would be torn apart. For 3 years, Olivia worked inside the enormous Whitmore estate. The mansion stood atop a private hill overlooking the city. It had 40 bedrooms, 2 swimming pools, a private movie theater, a helicopter pad, and enough luxury to make most people stare in disbelief. Yet for Olivia, it was simply a workplace. A place where she cleaned floors, made beds, carried trays, and remained invisible. Every morning, she woke before sunrise. Every night, she collapsed in a bed exhausted, and nobody ever noticed. To the Whitmore family, she wasn't Olivia. She wasn't even a person. She was simply the maid. The family was led by Charles Whitmore, one of the wealthiest businessmen in America, a billionaire admired by the media and feared by his competitors. To the public, Charles appeared to have the perfect life. But behind the mansion walls, his family was slowly falling apart. His 2 sons, Nathan and Victor, were obsessed with power. Both wanted control of the family empire. Both expected to inherit billions. And both believed they were entitled to everything. Neither of them paid attention to Olivia, unless it was to humiliate her. One afternoon, Olivia accidentally spilled a few drops of water on Nathan's expensive jacket. The mistake was tiny, but Nathan reacted as though she had committed a crime. In front of his wealthy friends, he mocked her relentlessly. The guests laughed. Olivia lowered her head, humiliated. Days later, Victor was even crueler. During a formal dinner attended by important guests, he deliberately knocked a plate from her hands. Food scattered across the floor. The room went silent. Victor laughed, then tossed a piece of bread toward her feet. The guests laughed with him. Olivia wanted to disappear, but she remained silent because she needed the job. What nobody realized was that Charles Whitmore had witnessed everything, and every insult broke his heart because Charles knew something they didn't. Years earlier, he had uncovered evidence suggesting his missing granddaughter might still be alive. For decades, everyone believed his daughter Sophia's baby had died shortly after birth. But Charles never believed that story. Something felt wrong. The records didn't add up. The witnesses contradicted one another. And the deeper he investigated, the more suspicious everything became. Eventually, private investigators found a young woman whose age, history, and background matched the missing child. That young woman was Olivia Carter. But Charles needed proof. Absolute proof. And there were people inside his own family capable of destroying that evidence forever. So he made a decision. He secretly arranged for Olivia to be hired at the mansion. Officially, she was a maid. Unofficially, he was keeping her close while he continued investigating the truth. For 3 years, he watched over her from a distance, protecting her without her knowledge, waiting for the day he could finally reveal everything. But fate had other plans. One evening, the Whitmore family gathered for dinner. Nathan and Victor argued once again. The discussion quickly became a vicious fight over money and inheritance. Their voices grew louder. Their anger intensified. Then, suddenly, Charles clutched his chest. The billionaire collapsed. Panic erupted throughout the mansion. Doctors rushed in. Security officers ran through the hallways. Family members screamed. But while paramedics fought to save Charles, Nathan pointed directly at Olivia and blamed her. Victor joined him. Other family members followed. Within minutes, Olivia became the target of everyone's frustration. As Charles was rushed to the hospital, Nathan made a decision. He fired her. Just like that. 3 years of loyalty erased in seconds. Heartbroken, Olivia returned to her room and began packing her belongings. She believed her life had fallen apart. What she didn't know was that her entire world was about to change. Hours later, Charles Whitmore slipped into a coma. The doctors weren't sure he would survive. 3 days later, lawyers arrived at the estate. The family gathered in the mansion library. Nathan and Victor expected to hear details about the inheritance. Both believed they were about to become even richer. Instead, the attorney opened a sealed envelope. Inside was a video recorded by Charles himself. The room fell silent as the billionaire appeared on screen. His expression was serious, his voice calm, and he spoke words nobody expected. "If I am unable to speak for myself, there is something my family must know." The room became tense. Charles continued, "My true heir is not Nathan. It is not Victor." Confused murmurs spread through the room. Nathan frowned. Victor stared at the screen. Then Charles delivered the sentence that changed everything. "The sole heir to my fortune is a young woman currently working inside this house." Every head turned, slowly, toward Olivia. She froze, unable to move, unable to breathe. Then Charles revealed her name, Olivia Carter. The room exploded. Nathan leapt to his feet. Victor shouted accusations. Family members demanded answers. But the biggest shock had not yet arrived. Because Olivia wasn't merely the heir. She was Charles Whitmore's granddaughter, the daughter of Sophia Whitmore's missing child. The baby everyone believed had died 23 years earlier. The room descended into chaos. But before anyone could process the revelation, the attorney presented additional evidence. DNA reports, hospital records, photographs, investigation files. Charles had spent years building a case, years preparing for this exact moment. And then came another surprise. An elderly woman entered the room. Her name was Evelyn, the former Whitmore housekeeper. For years, she had remained silent. But not anymore. With tears in her eyes, she revealed the truth. Sophia's baby had never died. The child had been stolen. Hospital staff had been bribed. Records had been altered. A conspiracy had hidden the truth for more than 2 decades. The room sat frozen in disbelief. Then something terrifying happened. A gunshot shattered one of the mansion windows. Glass exploded across the room. People screamed. Security rushed inside. The bullet had narrowly missed Olivia. Someone wanted her dead. Someone feared the truth. And someone was willing to kill to keep it hidden. Police launched an immediate investigation. Olivia was moved to a secure location. But danger continued to surround her. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered evidence of a massive cover-up. Corrupt hospital workers, forged birth certificates, secret payments, hidden bank accounts. Every discovery pointed toward a deliberate effort to erase Olivia from history. Then investigators found the person who had helped carry out the crime, a former nurse named Margaret Hayes. She had spent years hiding in a small town hundreds of miles away. When police confronted her, she finally broke down. After decades of silence, she confessed everything. The baby had been taken from the hospital, given to an orphanage, and officially declared dead. Margaret admitted she accepted money to help cover up the crime, but she wasn't the mastermind. Someone else had orchestrated everything, and that person had spent 23 years making sure the secret remained buried. Detectives reviewed financial records. The results shocked everyone. Someone had continued paying Margaret every month for more than 2 decades. The payments totaled millions of dollars, and they were still active. The trail led directly to one person, Victor Whitmore. The revelation stunned the nation. Victor had known the truth for years. He knew Olivia existed. He knew she was the rightful heir, and he spent years suppressing the evidence. Because if Olivia inherited the fortune, he would lose everything because he was adopted just like Nathan by Charles Whitmore when he lost his only daughter. The scandal exploded across national headlines. The Whitmore empire entered crisis. Investors fled. Stock prices collapsed. Board members resigned. Public trust vanished. And Victor's problems were only beginning. Investigators connected him to witness intimidation, fraud, conspiracy, and even the attempted assassination of Olivia. The evidence was overwhelming. Soon afterward, Victor was arrested. The trial became one of the most watched legal cases in the country. Day after day, new secrets emerged. Witnesses testified, documents were revealed, former employees came forward, and piece by piece, the entire conspiracy unraveled. The truth could no longer be hidden. Months later, the court reached its final decision. Olivia Carter was officially recognized as Charles Whitmore's granddaughter, the rightful heir to the Whitmore fortune, the owner of billions of dollars. Reporters crowded outside the courthouse. Microphones surrounded her. Cameras flashed endlessly. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. What would she do with her fortune? Would she buy private islands? Luxury yachts? Mansions around the world? Olivia surprised everyone. She chose a different path. Instead of chasing wealth, she focused on helping others. She established scholarships for disadvantaged students, funded children's hospitals, created programs for abandoned children, and invested millions into helping young people who felt forgotten by society, the same way she once had. People quickly realized something remarkable. Olivia had inherited billions, but she had not inherited the greed that destroyed the Whitmore family. She had inherited something far more valuable: compassion. 1 year later, Olivia returned to the mansion library. The same room she had cleaned countless times as a maid. The same room where people had ignored her existence. Now everything belonged to her. She walked slowly past a portrait of Charles Whitmore, the grandfather she barely had the chance to know, the man who spent years searching for her, the man who never stopped believing she was alive. For a moment, she simply stood there and smiled, because for the first time in her life, she finally understood who she was. Not a maid, not an orphan, not a forgotten girl, but a woman who survived the lies of an empire, a woman who uncovered the truth, a woman who proved that no secret stays buried forever, because sometimes the person everyone overlooks turns out to be the one person capable of changing everything. And that was exactly what Olivia Carter had done. If stories like this keep you thinking long after the end, hit the like button and subscribe for more Mind Whisper stories where every story hides a secret